Welcome, everybody. We're glad you're tuning in this evening. This is going to be a pre-drivers meeting. One of our head referees, Jim, has a presentation or some stuff he's going to put up, and then it'll be open to questions. There will still be a drivers meeting Saturday morning of state if other questions come up between now and then. But this is hopefully to get a lot of the stuff and a lot of questions out of the way before that drivers meeting to save us a little bit of time. And also to save you guys a little bit of effort in case you have questions and end up doing the wrong thing between now and Saturday. So we just like to get that taken care of. So with that, I'm actually going to pass it over to Jim, and he's going to take it from here, I think.
Okay, Norm. Let's see. I'll hit the share screen button, I guess. Congratulations, y'all made it to the state tournament. The hard work paid off. I'm sure you're all busy getting ready for the tournament this week and probably last week, probably since you found out you were going. Since you've all been and won a tournament, at least, this presentation assumes you know the basics regarding how to play a match, where to put your robot, how to set up your controls and all that. What this is going to be is it's going to present observations from the previous matches this year, so your team can perform at their best. These are things that we observed from leagues and other tournaments. As Norm said, there's still going to be a drivers meeting at the state tournament, and feel free to ask questions anytime. Okay, let's dive in. You're still going to need safety glasses and masks at the field and in the pits. Word of advice, just keep them on so you don't have to run back to the pits. You come out to the field, it's a long walk back to the pits at Washington. Robots with long arms. Watch out for the arms going outside of the field. This is by far the #1 reason for yellow and red cards this year. Robots swinging around, hitting driver stations. I know I've had to dodge a robot arm coming out over the side of the field. So be very careful of that. You don't want to have any penalties due to that. Descoring. On the shared shipping hub, remember, freight is expected to ship while the balance changes. So if you score and you might descore your opposing alliance's piece of freight, it may roll down into your side and vice versa. They may, when they score, your freight might roll into theirs. So be comfortable with that, I guess. But having said that, excessive banging on the hub will be considered intentional descoring. So if you go to the shared shipping hub and just bang on it, trying, what could be easily interpreted as intentional descoring, you may very well get a descoring penalty. Hub balance. This is one of the biggest questions around. This comes up in the public facing forum, in the referees forum, the referees calls. We all want some kind of definition. You can't move the Alliance hub 6 inches. You can't move the shared shipping hub 2 inches or rotate it 5 degrees. But the game design committee will not give any of that guidance. What their guidance is for the referees is, does it affect gameplay? Now, for gameplay affecting, a couple ways to think of it is it making easier for you to score? Then it's most likely gameplay affecting. Is it making it harder for the opposing team to score? Then it's most likely a gameplay affecting. Inadvertent and inconsequential. All rules, there's a rule G10. If the referee believes that the contact is inadvertent and inconsequential, they can waive off calling the penalty. The robot GS3 rules, some have the inadvertent and consequential built right into them. Keep in mind, though, that reckless driving can easily be interpreted as an intentional movement and therefore not inadvertent. You go out there and you just plow into a shared, let's say your Alliance shipping hub. That's not going to look like it was inadvertent to a referee, most likely. Occasional small bumps, word there is occasional small bumps, most likely won't be penalized. Bumping most of the time, so whenever you go up to a hub and you bump it and it moves a little bit, and you're doing that most of the time, has a higher chance of getting a penalty. Again, it's the determination of the penalty will be based on what the ref is observing at the time. So the pointer that's given in the public facing forums is practice, and don't touch the hubs. Try your best not to touch them. Keep the referees from reducing your ranking points. Remember, this year, there's the win and loss doesn't matter until we get to eliminations. It's all your ranking points will set your rank in your division. So if you're shooting for one of those top 4 positions, keep your penalties to a minimum. Specifics for the hub balance. The Alliance shipping hub. Hub movement rules apply during autonomous too. So don't, when you're at home and you're coding up your autonomous, don't think you can just drive out and hit the hub and just to make sure you get there, you push it a little bit. That could be considered intentional moving of the hub and could get penalized. And keep away from the opposing alliance's hub. There's penalties around that, and you can also cause it to be determined that they are going to get a balance when they, in some cases, shouldn't get one. The shared shipping hubs. Movement of the shared shipping hub is under more scrutiny since it is in a tighter space. You all know where it is. It is a tight space. Even some of the small robots have a hard time moving around there. So less movement there will be tolerated than, say, the Alliance shipping hub. The rotation of the shared shipping hub, it doesn't take much to make it harder for the other team to score. So be very careful. Another thing is you must be completely out of the warehouse to score in a shared shipping hub. A lot of you folks like to just drive in as the bare minimum and then put your piece of freight in and then get out. You have to make it obvious to the referees watching that your robot is completely out of the shared shipping hub, out of the warehouse. That means no part of your robot can be over the white tape. Blocking near the entrance, near the open entrances is not a penalty. What I'm getting at there's the 2 entrances right next to the field wall by the timer that a lot of robots like to just drive back and forth in. If another robot comes over and plops itself right in the opening of the warehouse that's closer to your side, that is not a penalty. Many people think that is, but that is not a penalty. That's been addressed in the public-facing forums. So have a plan B in case that happens. But the robots must be cautious, and they can also play defense, that you can jostle each other around back there. But if you're playing defense, you have to be careful of intentionally damaging other robots. Team shipping elements. Robots can cap both TSCs, but only one at a time. We're seeing more capping, which is great to see. We're also seeing some teams sharing their TSCs. Be careful for the ones that are nested. Don't pick them both up, because as soon as you do that, you're controlling more than one team shipping element, and you immediately start the minor for that. And if you go on to continue and cap that, you'll get a major for scoring when you have more than the allowed team shipping elements. No capping. If the cap happens before endgame, the team shipping element may be picked up anytime before endgame, but cannot obscure the top of the aligned shipping hub pole. So you can have it, near the pole, but make sure it's obvious to the referees that you're not obscuring the top of the pole. You don't want them to wave off all that hard work you did to pick it up and get it there. The team shipping elements shared between teams must be inspected for each team and re-inspected for each time a different team uses it. So if you are a team that has a shared set of nesting team shipping elements and you lend it to team A, and they have to come and get it inspected before they can use it, and they have to have their number on it. It can be in Sharpie or on a piece of tape, whatever. And then they give it back to you and you give it to team B, then team B also has to have it inspected before they can use it. The inspection must happen before coming to the field. You can't come up to the field at the last minute as you're standing at the field and say, hey guys, you want to use our shared, our nested shipping element, and then expect the referees or the inspectors to inspect the shipping hub there right then on the spot. That won't be allowed. Come to the question box to request the reinspection, and then we'll get it inspected for you as soon as we can. So what that is saying is that you have to be thinking ahead. Talk to your alliance partners before the match, and if they want to go along with using your team shipping element, have them go and get it re-inspected as soon as they can. I see that John Hines is also on here on the call tonight. So John, if I'm missing anything or you want to say anything, feel free to chime in.
Doing fantastic so far.
Okay. Freight. To legally remove freight from the warehouse operations must be followed. These next 4 bullet points are directly copied out of the game manual part 2. You have to start completely out of the warehouse, then drive completely into the warehouse. Then you can collect one piece of freight, then drive completely out of the warehouse with the collected freight. Now, a lot of people are getting caught on the drive completely out of the warehouse with the collected freight. You got to do that when you're scoring on that shared shipping hub. The robot must be completely out of the warehouse to legally score. Movement of the shared shipping hub does not relieve this requirement. So if the opposing team pushes the shared shipping hub closer to your side warehouse, that doesn't mean just because the shared shipping hub is now closer that you can hang part of your robot in the warehouse and be expected to be allowed to score. When leaving the warehouse, watch out for easily avoidable freight. A lot of times the cargo roll around and can end up rolling over by the warehouse entrances. When you leave, if that piece of cargo has been sitting there for a while, and in the opinion of the referee is easily avoidable, and you push it out while you're controlling another piece of freight, then you are going to incur an illegal warehouse operations penalty. So be careful of that. And something that we're seeing that's usually a warning takes care of it, but don't ram the freight pile. You've all seen it where a robot will fly into the freight pile trying to get a piece of freight, and cargo and boxes and everything goes flying. Well, that's not allowed, because now you're not just plowing to get a piece of freight. If you want to go in and nudge a couple to try to get let's say you're trying to get a heavy box, that's fine. And if something rolls around, you'll probably be forgiven. But just a base ramming the pile to mix things up, if anything goes outside of the warehouse, you're responsible for that. And you could get 2 or 3 pieces of freight cargo rolling out, no with no problem doing that. So keep that in mind.
Hey,
The
Jim,
carousel.
sorry, can I ask a question on the
Sure.
last one?
Sure.
By the way, thank you for all the work you do. I know you're at all the competitions, and I appreciate the work you and your team does. On the freight, it says start completely out of the warehouse. So just for clarity, in autonomous mode, the robot ends up sometimes in the warehouse.
Mhm.
I assume you don't need to drive out of the warehouse and drive back in at that point if you have a piece of freight in already, do you?
No. So let's say for some reason, either the duck fell into your robot or you didn't end up scoring the preloaded piece of freight. Those are already, the ducks and the preloaded freight are already considered out of the warehouse. So you can go in and then you can go right back out without taking any freight. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So thank you.
Yeah, in those cases though, be careful coming out of the warehouse so that you don't push any freight out or bring any extra freight with you. So you're not controlling more than two or removing more than two.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to quickly add that actually there's John Hines and also Adam Jules, two other head refs on the call. If you have a question and want to put it in the chat, they may answer it also kind of in line there. So either way.
Okay. I didn't see Adam. If we can go back now, Adam's the lead robot inspector. What's your thoughts on getting the shared team shipping elements re-inspected? Does that sound like a good plan, having them come to the question box and requesting a re-inspection?
Yeah, that's really easy to do. Even if you share it with multiple teams, just have us quickly check it for team numbers and whatnot.
Okay, so we'll stick with that plan then. Like I said, if you want to use a shared team shipping element, have the team that's going to be using the team that's going to be sharing your team shipping element with you, have them come to the question box before the match, preferably a couple matches before the match, and we'll get it inspected. So, all right, back to the carousel. Make sure the robot doesn't touch the bottom or the top of the carousel. We've seen that. That's an immediate minor penalty plus another minor penalty every 5 seconds thereafter. So be careful of that. If you think there's an issue with the carousel, let's say you think the height isn't right on there, discuss it with the FTA or the ref before the match as you're setting it up. You can't go over and measure the height of it with a ruler, or let's say you have a 13¼ inch stick or something like that. You guys can't do that. But if you ask the ref or the FTA to measure it, and you're nice about it, they'll probably go get a tape measure and measure it. And if it's not right, they'll correct it. Don't interfere with the opposing alliance if it's touching its carousel. If you're driving around in the open field there and you see them going for, or if you see them touching their carousel, don't touch them. That's a major penalty. Control. Accidentally intaking more than one piece of freight is okay, as long as there's no other gameplay is performed before removing the excess freight. So what that means is, let's say you're in a warehouse and you pick up 2 pieces of freight and you immediately notice it and then you spit out the extra piece of freight. That's fine, there's no penalty. Let's say you're at the carousel and you get 2 ducks caught inside of your robot. If you stop spinning the wheel and do your best to get that second duck out of your robot, you'll get no penalties. But in the first case, let's say you have the 2 pieces of freight in your robot and you drive out of the warehouse, you're immediately going to get a minor for the control and another minor every 5 seconds thereafter per piece of freight over one. For the second example, if you're at the carousel and you have you get 2 ducks in your robot and you don't shake them out or try to move them out, as soon as you go back and they're still in your robot and you go back to spinning the wheel, you're gonna start getting the immediate minor and the minor every 5 seconds thereafter. Watch under the robot. That happens a lot. Teams get caught with this one. They don't see a piece of freight under the robot and drive around with it. Just pay attention, have your drive coach, whoever, look when you're around freight that's in the open. Make sure you're not driving over it and getting it caught. As I alluded to earlier, ducks are freight and under control if they fall from the carousel into the robot and count towards the freight possession. Delivery. Delivery only counts in autonomous and endgame. If you deliver during the teleop period, it won't count. Delivered ducks or TSEs must follow the delivery sequence. Again, this is right from the game manual. You place the duck or the drive team shipping element on the carousel platform completely in the drive team side of the sweeper plate. The duck or team shipping element must be in contact with the sweeper plate. The robot must rotate the carousel platform, then the sweeper plate must knock the duck or team shipping element off the carousel and onto the playing field floor. So if it falls into the robot, it doesn't count as being delivered. The ducks or TSEs placed on the carousel before endgame get 0 points for that duck or the team shipping element. The following ducks and team shipping elements that are placed after endgame starts will be just fine if they follow all the other rules. Once the carousel starts to move, you can no longer touch the duck or the team shipping element. And before you can put another one on, the carousel must stop before placing another duck or team shipping element. Autonomous interference. Keeping robots out of the opposing alliance's side of the field during autonomous period reduces the risk of getting penalties. As you all know, there's no their side or red side or blue side this year. The closest we get to is the storage units. But the best way to avoid a penalty is just keep on your alliance side half. Imagine there's a line going down the middle. Keep on your side. Robots that are on the other side of the field tend to be seen more as causing issues than the other way around, and would most likely be thought of to get the autonomous interference penalty if 2 robots ran into each other. Touching your drive station or robot after initialization. At off-season tournaments, and I've seen this, you guys tend to get a little sloppy, and I don't want to see you carry that out over to the state competition. Once we initialize and you notice that, hey, I don't have my block where I want it, or whatever needs to be done on your robot, or you're not connecting for some reason, don't try to fix it yourself. Make sure you let a FTA or a ref know right away. The ref will probably tell the FTA, but don't fix it yourself, because if you do, it could be seen as you're touching your drive station after we've initialized, and you'll get a minor penalty, and you won't get any of the autonomous bonus if it is due to you. Other reminders, please read the game manual again and the FTC forums. Remember, you're held responsible for any changes up through Thursday. On the Thursday noon is when the FTC forums will be closed down for this weekend. So if for some reason in the forums released this Thursday, they make a change. Let's say, oh, I don't know what they would change. Let's say you cannot, you can control 2 pieces of freight, or pick your favorite thing that in the rules that they'd change. You are responsible for that, to know that. It's located at this site here, FTC QA. You can just type that into your search bar and it'll take you right there. On the site though, be careful. There's game manuals attached to it. You can just click and it's there. It's nice and convenient. The only problem is the game manual part 2 is out of date as of today. So I emailed the first folks and maybe they can get that updated before Thursday when you're looking in there. Remember your gracious professionalism. It's much better to beat somebody if they're both, if your opponent is playing at their best too. And it's nice. It makes the day go better for you. Thank your coaches, teachers, and parents. They're under a lot of stress with you guys here. They want to make sure everything is being done to help you perform at your best. So let them know you appreciate all of your help. And most importantly, have fun. Things will go a lot better. You'll look back at it in the future as, hey, I had a nice time and that really was fun. And when you're having fun, you're going to perform a whole heck of a lot better. So with that, I'm all done talking. If you guys have any questions, like Norm said, Adam, John, and I are here to answer them. And I also see Adam Miller is here. So if you have any FTA or field manager questions, I'm sure he'd be willing to answer them too.
Before autonomous in a knit, are we able to move the duck on the carousel, or does it have to start in a specific location?
Before autonomous, no, you cannot touch the duck. Wherever the field setup people place the duck, it has to stay there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's a good question.
You mentioned that game manual 2 was updated. Do you know what the changes are?
The game, these are the well, let's see. I'm going to share. Oh, let's see, which one do I want? Where is it? Bear with me 1 second here. I will pull them up. Come on. Old guy on Zoom here. Let's see. Show. Okay, let's see. All right, can you guys see the rules here as I'm scrolling through them?
Yep.
This is the version downloaded from the first website, I believe. And when you go to the FTC QA, they have version 1.1. Version 1.2 came out after kickoff, and you can see here's the change. Corrected the number of navigation images. The capping, you can only score up to 2 shipping elements. New image for section 457. GS9D, they changed the penalty from a major to a minor and said that the team shipping element deliver or duck delivered before endgame gets 0 value. Added rule GS11, which is the no touching your controllers after initialization, and the height on the carousel was corrected. It's 13.25 inches. Yeah, I believe before it was 13.5 or 13 3/4. That's the changes they put in.
I have another question.
Sure.
Inside the Tele app, can you run two separate programs? So say our first Tele app isn't doing something correctly and we want to use this other one to fix it. Is that legal?
Yeah, in teleop you can have all the different modes you want.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the duck spinner from the tile is 3.25 or 13.25 inches up. Is that correct?
Yes, here I'll show you right where that is. I think I can right here. Oh no, that's the shared shipping hub. It's there. I just got to find the right drawing here. No, that's the alliance shipping. We'll just scroll through them. Here we go, right here. 13.25 inches from the top of the tile.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim,
Yes.
do you want to answer Tatum's post at 7? I think that would be a good one to actually talk about.
Where is that listed, John?
Probably pull up chat from the bottom.
Uh-oh. Okay, let me see if I can pull up chat.
Okay, Adam answered it in chat, but kind of everyone to remember, and this is generally true from year to year, is the warehouse is defined by the outside bounds of the tape. So, yes. And that's usually true for every zone. So yeah, if your robot is over the tape, it would be within that zone. If and we're looking for kind of a vertical line going up. So we're not looking for if your robot's touching the floor inside or outside the tape. We're looking for, if I put a vertical line from the edge of the tape up into space, would it be within that area?
Right on, John. That's and like John said, all the zones. For example, if you can see where I'm pointing, this outside edge of the red tape is the outside edge of the storage unit. So if you have a block and it's sitting on the tape, but not dangling over the tape, that block will be in the storage unit, completely in the storage unit.
All right. I think that's kind of wrapped up the questions that there were. Scrolling back through the chat. I think everyone has, all the ones that have been answered. Are there any other questions from anybody? If not, then thank you guys. Jim, if you could send me that PowerPoint, I will put it, we'll put it on the website along with the recording of this so people can go back to look at that if they need to. That would be great.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks,
Yeah,
Norm,
everyone,
for
have a good
setting.
evening
Thank
and
you.
Good time preparing for state. So.
Thanks.